the Property Pod. Welcome to the Property Pod with Moneyweb. The property sector is an ever-changing sector. And in this podcast series, your host, Suren Naidu, chats to movers and shakers in the property industry.
Hi there and welcome to the Property Pod, South Africa's premier property investor podcast. On this Moneyweb show, we gain insider insights from leading CEOs, analysts, developers and entrepreneurs in the country's dynamic real estate sector. Now, in September, we reported that seasoned hotel industry executive Graham Wood has been appointed to the top job as incoming CEO of Cape Town's landmark V&A Waterfront. That's, of course, the trophy property assets that's jointly owned by the Government Employees Pension Fund through the PIC as well as JSE-listed Growthpoint Properties. Now, Wood is a CEO designate for now and takes on the role fully early in the new year, succeeding the hugely successful David Green, who will retire in early 2026 after some 17 years in the role. This is a profile of sorts, and we chat to Wood now on coming in to this new exciting role. Welcome to the Property Pod, Graham. I know I've tried to get you a number of times, even in your previous portfolio, but good to have you on the podcast.
Thank you, Suren. Finally, we connect, and it's good to be with you.
So you started in October, I believe, as CEO designate. I'm sure you're chatting a lot to David and the team there. Did you move from Johannesburg to the Republic of the Cape? How's it been for the first few weeks down in Cape Town?
Suren, thank you. Yeah, I started the beginning of October. I have a 3-month induction/handover period with David. And I must say the first 6 weeks has been fantastic. It's been a great introduction into the V&A Waterfront and a lot more complex and detailed and exciting than I possibly would have expected. The team has been very welcoming, which I've been very grateful for. And of course, gleaning as much as I can from the vast amount of knowledge and experience that David has. As you said, he's been CEO for a number of years, and I feel very privileged that I'll be able to continue leading the V&A Waterfront and continue to respect the legacy and hopefully take his legacy forward that he has built up over so many years.
Yes, as I mentioned, it's quite an exciting job. I'm sure many person in the industry would have loved to get that opportunity. But when do you start officially as CEO? And those are pretty big shoes to fill. What's your plans to make your mark? I know it's quite a broad question, but it comes at a very exciting time for the V&A.
Yeah, so David and I were joking the other night, when the clock strikes past midnight on the 31st into the 1st, that's when I take over. So I'm sure there'll be a ceremonial shaking of hands just after midnight on the 31st of December. So it'll be in Jan. David will still be staying on for 3 or 4 months to assist with the transition of some of our key projects that he has been working on. And but operationally and strategically, I will assume the helm from the beginning of Jan.
Well, you talked about the 31st and going to the 1st. That's probably South Africa's number one spot to be for New Year's Eve. So looking forward to those pictures if you're both celebrating in the area at the time.
Yeah, it's going to be as you know, it's probably one of the busiest hotspots in South Africa. And we have an exciting lineup of entertainment and plans for New Year's Eve. So I'm sure it's going to be a fantastic experience. It's my first New Year's Eve at the V&A Waterfront. So I'm really excited and looking forward to the show that we're going to put on.
It's a normal work day, so you actually might start on the 31st unless you're celebrating. But jokes aside, it's a great job. One could say it's a dream job. Would you agree?
Absolutely a dream job. I think for me, it is an incredibly important role and one that I take very seriously because the V&A Waterfront, I call it a national asset. It's a little bit similar to my role when I was at Sun International when I had the responsibility of running Sun City Resort, another national tourism asset. And so that was a big attraction for me to come down to run the V&A Waterfront. It's very part of the fabric of Cape Town at a time when the V&A is poised for its next era of growth and expansion, which I'm sure we'll talk about just now. But I think for me, what's particularly exciting is that the success of V&A, the V&A waterfront and Cape Town is all hinged off the growth of tourism, both domestic and international. And I think I can, based on my experience in the hospitality and tourism industry, I can help the city as well as ourselves at the V&A waterfront navigate that space to try and grow international and domestic tourism for the betterment of all, not just for the V&A waterfront. And I'm particularly excited about the role that I can actually help play in that regard.
Now, we interviewed David a few months ago, so we did get a bit of an update, and we've been on top of that story, particularly the Granger Bay expansion. Do you have an update for us on those plans and, just a general overall update? Because I know you're not driving that project at the moment. You probably really start to drive it next year, but I'm sure you've got all the insights into all the exciting developments that's coming there.
Yeah, Suren, I think before we even talk about Granger Bay, there's a lot going on at the V&A waterfront as we speak. We're working hard to finish the refurbishment of the Table Bay Hotel. That opens 15th of December with a reimagined Table Bay Hotel. It's going to be trading as the Intercontinental Table Bay Hotel. And then in the middle of next year, we open the luxury lifestyle hotel product on Key 7 alongside the Table Bay Hotel. So that's going to be tremendously exciting. And then in front of the Table Bay, we're doing a 160 odd residential to let apartments, as I said, in front of the Table Bay. So that is coming on stream. And then we've just opened access to the new luxury mall at the Vic Wharf. It's not fully operational in the sense that not all the shops are open, but access is available into the Lux Mall, which is a really good addition to the sort of the retail experience that we offer at the Vic Wharf Shopping Centre. So that's very exciting. And then we've also received approval to establish and expand our ability to host big super yachts coming into the marina. So that project will also kick off next year in front of the Key 7 Hotel. So that's also very, very exciting. So there's a lot going on. Granger Bay itself, we are still going through the approval process. And I think things are moving in a positive direction. And we'll be able to give some further updates once we've had further engagement with the city towards the end of this year.
Thanks for that. You mentioned a few things there which could be stories on their own in a way. We've covered that Key 7 Hotel. Is the name still under wraps?
Still under wraps. We're busy still finalizing final agreements with the brand and the operator. We're 99% there. And so I'm sure an announcement will be coming out in the next couple of weeks.
And the mall itself, you say there is some access, but I gather it will be fully open and trading by December.
No, the Lux Mall is the extension that we've done.
Yes,
that is open. There will be 2 or 3 stores open for the festive season, and then the bulk of the stores will be fitted out and fully tenanted and operational by the beginning of second quarter of 2026.
One last question on new developments, because you always there's so much happening, as you say, and I'm sure there'll be multiple projects at Granger Bay once that gets approved. But that resi development, that explains all the cranes around there. It's not just linked to the Key Hotel, and on a normal day, if there wasn't construction, a new projects, the Table Bay probably will get a lot more coverage, because you could build a brand new hotel with that R1 billion or so. What sort of value are we looking in terms of investment? Because that will follow on from that other development that's up the road at the entrance to the V&A.
Yeah, Suren, I actually don't know the full final investment value of that resi just as yet, because I tell you why, it's part of an integrated development that we're doing, including the super basement that we're doing in front of the Table Bay. So we're extending the basement parking into in front of the Table Bay, and then the build to rent resi development will come out on top of that super basement. And then we're also looking alongside that the potential consideration of a later living retirement type development product. We haven't had final approvals yet, but we're contemplating that. We're still doing some market research and some focus groups, etc., to understand the demand and appetite for such a product. And I think once we've come to a landing on that and can announce, I think that could be a very exciting addition to the fabric of the V&A waterfront, because it's not a product that we actually currently offer in the precinct.
That's very interesting. I'm sure it'll actually be quite successful, because you're finding this high-end retirement living sector growing quite a bit, and people are looking for the facilities that, like a precinct that the V&A offers. Now, Graham, hospitality is going to be a big part in the V&A going forward. Not that it wasn't in the past, but considering just 2 of the hotels are over 2 billion rand investments at the moment. And you have had a role in the hospitality industry for over 20 years. I understand a bean counter at one stage, but obviously you've got the hospitality industry bit, having been at Sun International. It's a little bit of a combined question here. Would you say that played a key part in you securing that job? And perhaps you want to share some insights on your experience. People in the industry will know you, but we have listeners and readers from all areas that might be want to know who's Graham Wood, especially since you're not from Cape Town.
Yeah, Suren, I think that's a good question. I spent the better part of the last 25 to 30 years working in the hospitality, gaming and tourism industry. Predominantly, my skill set sits in the hospitality and tourism space. And having run places like Sun City Resort, and have had the responsibility of running Soko Sun Hotels, which is now called Southern Sun Hotels, for a period of 5 years. So I do have extensive hospitality experience. And I think, yes, that obviously did play a factor into my appointment, because if you think about what we're doing, we are expanding our hotel portfolio to 13 hotels, some of them which are leased properties, and now with the 2 new hotels, or the refurbished Table Bay and the Key 7 Hotel, being hotels that we'll be operationally exposed to, it is important that that hospitality skill set is present within the V&A. But I think more importantly, I think I have an opportunity to add to the tourism narrative in South Africa and in Cape Town, as I referred to earlier. Because the V&A waterfront success, and the reason as to why office tenants and hotels want to be here, retailers want to be here, it's all based off the strength of domestic and international tourism. And the more we grow the tourism production into Cape Town and into South Africa, the better it is for the waterfront, but the better it is for our economy and more jobs we can create. And I think that is the fundamental opportunity that lies ahead for us, is to grow the overall tourism industry into South Africa and into Cape Town. And yes, we will be a beneficiary of that in terms of increased growth and commercial performance at the V&A, but we'll also be able to play our role in creating jobs and opportunities for small and medium enterprises that benefit from the V&A waterfront. They will continue to prosper and grow, because I think we have a responsibility to grow our industry for the benefit of all.
Thanks for that, Graham. But since you mentioned tourism, I suppose it's default when you think of Cape Town. But SA Tourism has a lot of challenges. Another CEO that you worked with at one stage, myself and Olek, was quite vocal. I'm not going to ask you about their challenges, but because Cape Town almost is a oasis, and it almost does its own thing when it comes to tourism in terms of attracting international tourists. But is there anything that keeps you up at night or, that frustrates you? Because it's all rosy being in a boom environment. But, is there any challenges that you'd like to focus on in your broader role in the industry, not just at the VNA?
Yeah, Suren, you're absolutely right. I think the biggest challenge that we face is really to all work together to get South African tourism to be operating effectively and efficiently. Because at the end of the day, SA Tourism has a mandate to position South Africa as a tourist destination. Yes, Cape Town has a role to play, as do the rest of the provinces. But we have to be unified around a national marketing message as to what South Africa is all about and why people have to visit South Africa. It makes no sense for provinces to be going it completely alone without there being a unified message. So I think that's a role that we all have to play to work together to support SA tourism to function efficiently. And I'm only too happy to put my hand up and to assist in that regard. I know the Tourism Business Council of South Africa does play that role to be the voice of private sector tourism. But, we all need to play our part to drive that unified message. Because at the end of the day, if we look at our tourism results, we have 10 million, we don't even have 10 million arrivals into South Africa. And if you break that down, 2.5 million international air arrivals, I mean, that really, really is quite low if you consider other long-haul destinations that we're competing against. And it's such an obvious industry that we need to grow because we can create more jobs and reduce our unemployment in what is called a low-entry employment industry. And I think what we need to do as a country, not only as a tourism body, but as a country, is we all need to rally behind the importance of tourism and all be wonderful ambassadors for our country, because that's why we live here. We love this country, and we need to ensure that our country grows and prospers. And tourism is an absolute gateway in order for us to achieve this growth and prosperity.
Thanks for that. Very passionate there and a little bit of your historical tourism industry insights. Graham, just to conclude, we could chat for a lot longer, but we both are tight on time. How are we looking forward booking-wise? I'm sure you're keeping tabs on that, and expectations for the festive season. It's been records for a number of years now, but do you have an update from that perspective before you go?
I think we're looking forward to a great season. In fact, I mean, the business levels have started and occupancy levels have started to increase in Cape Town already. And I have no reason to believe that we will, other than that we will have a great December period, New Year period, and it will extend into the, January, February, and our traditional November to February European and North American influx of visitors. There's no reason to suggest why it won't be as good, if not better than last year.
Okay. Graham, we'll have to leave it there. I appreciate your time on the podcast. That was Graham Wood, the incoming CEO or CEO designate of the VNA Waterfront.
Thanks for listening to the Moneyweb Property Pod with Suren Naidu. To listen to more episodes, go to moneyweb.co.za or the Moneyweb app and follow Moneyweb News for daily updates. Follow Suren on Twitter @Suren Naidu for more of his property industry content and other business stories.